Hello everyone, welcome back to another Project Gladiator Weekly Overlook. Today I'll be covering the weather for the week of November 19th until November 26th. So starting off with the severe weather outlooks for the next couple days. For today we currently have a threat for marginal severe thunderstorms for central Oklahoma with a 5% hail threat there. But then for tomorrow, this is really going to be a big one. We currently have an enhanced risk issued for the Mississippi River Valley. The primary threats including a 10% tornado threat with the possibility of strong tornadoes, and weak tornadoes are somewhat expected. For the Mississippi River Valley tomorrow. We also have a 30% wind threat and a 15% hail threat in addition to that, but the primary threat by far is going to be that 10% tornado threat. I may possibly go live for this event tomorrow if I have time. But you definitely want to be staying weather alert if you live in the affected areas. Taking a look at our day 3 outlook, we currently have a marginal threat for southern Alabama, parts of Georgia, the Florida Panhandle, as well as parts of Mississippi and Louisiana. However, for our day 4 to day 8 outlook, we currently don't have any areas currently forecasted as expected. It's kind of rare to have something on our day 4 to 8 outlook unless it's really something significant that can be forecasted that far out. And let's take a look at our WPC outlooks, starting off with our excessive rainfall outlooks for this week, or our from day 1 to day 5. Currently for today, we don't have any threats for flash flooding, but for day 2 until day 4, we currently have at least a marginal threat for flash flooding. Something I do want to mention is that virtually any outlooks that I look at in any of these forecasts are subject to change between now and then. So if you are concerned about the weather between now and then for your location, I suggest checking for updates with things such as the Weather Channel. But for tomorrow, we currently have a marginal threat for the Mississippi River Valley for some flash flooding. And for day 3, we also have a marginal threat for flash flooding as that cold front propagates eastward, leading to quite a bit of rain across the eastern United States, with a marginal threat for flash flooding for the Appalachian from Alabama into Pennsylvania and New Jersey, for the Appalachian in the Atlantic Basin. For our day 4 outlook, we currently have a marginal threat for the New England corridor for Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. And then for our day 5 outlook, we currently don't have any issued areas for flash flooding. But then let's take a look at the threats for snow this week. For today, we are expected to see quite a bit of snow for the Rocky Mountains. And then for tomorrow, we don't really have any visible areas until you look really closely in Colorado there. We are expected to maybe see some heavy snow, but overall snow should be light. For our day 3 outlook, we are expected to see some snow for Canada as well as the New England corridor. And then for our day 4 outlook, we are expected to see some snow for the New England corridor and in the Northwest. Something I do want to note about the day 4 to day 7 outlook is that these outlooks are more subject to change than any other outlook. Taking a look at our day 5 outlook, from our day 4 to day 6 outlooks, we are expected to see quite a bit of snow, as we are expected to see a little bit of a snowstorm later on this week, with quite a bit of snow on our day 5 outlook for Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Utah, Nevada, Colorado, Nebraska, and South Dakota. For our day 6 outlook, the snow is going to lighten up a little bit with some snow for Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, back into Utah, as well as Wyoming and northern New Mexico. Then for our day 7 outlook, we have a significant decrease in that snow, with some remaining snow for southern Colorado and northern New Mexico, as well as back up into the New England corridor. But then let's take a look at some of the fronts that we are expected to see today, this week. We are expected to see, again, quite a complicated setup. Let's take a look at this cold front that we currently see in the Central Plains back into New Mexico. As this propagates eastward, by the time it enters the Mississippi River Valley tomorrow, that is going to be firing off our severe thunderstorms tomorrow into overnight, possibly lingering on tomorrow into that marginal threat for our day 3 outlook. And then on Wednesday, that cold front is going to continue to propagate eastward, leading to quite a bit of rainfall for the eastern United States and the New England corridor. Notice that we have a cold front back behind that as well. The first cold front is going to be clearing out the majority of the instability and moisture, which isn't really going to give the cold front behind it really anything to interact with, but it is going to be making things a little bit colder behind it. And then we are expected to see a second cold front, or sorry, a third cold front come out of the northwest, which is going to be supporting the threat for quite a bit of snow later on this week from Thursday into Saturday. Taking a look at our weather model, starting off with our 500 millibars like we usually do, let's take a look at the jet stream pattern that we are expected to see this week. Starting off with that trough that we are going to see triggering severe thunderstorms tomorrow, which again could be significant. You can see the sheer strength of that trough with mid-level flow that is getting up to 100 miles per hour at 500 millibars. And you can see those spreading of the wind vectors. I know that 500 millibars isn't really something you want to be taking a look at for defluence, but you can see the spreading of those isobars is going to be giving us some widespread lift in that region, which is going to be supporting a pretty strong threat for severe thunderstorms tomorrow. Um, and you can see the strength in that trough and the amount of directional shear and veering the winds that we are seeing with that trough is going to be giving us quite a bit of directional shear to support the threat for possibly strong tornadoes tomorrow in the Mississippi River Valley. And that trough is going to continue to propagate eastward and really spread out across the rest of the eastern United States, leading to quite a bit of rain as well as the threat for severe thunderstorms as it propagates eastward. But then let's take a look, let's roll it back a little bit. You can see that we have a trough that is going to kind of split away from the first trough that is going to be leading to significant severe weather tomorrow. That is going to make its way into the very close to the Gulf of Mexico, but it's going to ride along the Gulf Coast and wait until the first trough goes out into the Atlantic Ocean to ride along the deep southeast and up into the Atlantic Basin region, leading to some rain showers. Maybe a threat for severe thunderstorms, as you can see by the amount of activity with that trough in some of the coastal regions where we have a little bit more moisture because of the close proximity to the Gulf of Mexico. But overall, the threat for severe weather with that trough is fairly uncertain. It may support a low-end threat for severe thunderstorms, but overall, it may also not. But then you can see back towards the east, west. You can see we are expected to have a third trough, which is going to be supporting the threat for some snowstorms back across the Rocky Mountains into the Central Plains in the later half of this week. Taking a look at our composite reflectivity, I'm going to be going over the when and where you should be able to see our severe thunderstorms, rain showers, and our snowstorms for this week. Starting off with the trough that we are expected to see towards the beginning of this week. We are expected to see those severe thunderstorms tomorrow, of course, and then that's going to develop into a line along that cold front, and that trough is going to spread out across the eastern United States around the 20th and lead to tons of rain for the Ohio River Valley sometime on the 21st. And that's going to continue to propagate eastward, impacting the Appalachian mountain region on the 21st and moving out into the Atlantic Ocean on the 22nd. So this is going to be a fairly quick moving trough. Leading to quite a bit of rain fairly quickly in the span of like 2 to 3 days. And you can see we are expected to possibly have some snow mixed in towards the north with some of that rain for the northern Ohio River Valley, maybe back towards the northern Midwest and the New England corridor. But overall, we are expected to see quite a bit of widespread rain showers with that cold front. But then let's take a look at that trough that we are expected to possibly see riding up along the Gulf Coast states. We are expected to see it kind of ride along the Gulf Coast states again, leading to some rainfall for some of the coastal regions as well as some of the more inland regions in the deep south, mainly impacting anywhere from the 23rd, the 24th, when it moves back, moves towards the east, more around Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and South Carolina, and then kind of spreading out around the 25th across the Atlantic Basin as well as some of the more Appalachian regions. But then let's take a look at the timing for that those snowstorms that we are expected to see. We are expected to see a cold front impact the northwest around the 21st to 22nd. And we are expected to see some snowfall with some rain mixed in for Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Colorado, possibly Washington on the 22nd, and that's going to move eastward into Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, Nevada, Colorado on the 23rd, and then into Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, Nebraska, Kansas, and New Mexico on the 24th, and kind of fade away and linger on in southern Colorado, New Mexico, the Oklahoma Panhandle, the Texas Panhandle on the 25th, with possibly some remaining snowstorms in some isolated areas. Now we're going to be diving into the really deep nitty-gritty of things, specifically the significant threat for severe thunderstorms in the Mississippi River Valley tomorrow. This part of the forecast may not be all that well maintained, as I am going to be kind of just winging it a little bit to really show you the threat for severe thunderstorms in the Mississippi River Valley tomorrow more in depth. So let's take a look at our dew points really quickly. So currently, we aren't really seeing all that much moisture in the Mississippi River Valley for today. That's because that trough is back towards the east, and it's pulling most of the moisture out of the east and out of the Gulf of Mexico and out of the east through the deep south. And but as that low pressure system pushes eastward, not only is that going to push some of the moisture eastward, but that's also going to change the flow pattern from out of the Gulf of Mexico towards the Central Plains, but out of the Gulf of Mexico into the Mississippi River Valley to be supporting instability for the severe weather threat for tomorrow. Overall, instability isn't going to be crazy, but it is going to be enough to support the threat for severe thunderstorms tomorrow. It's not going to be anything crazy like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, but it's going to be back around the 1,000s, it's 2,000s, but it is still going to be ample enough to support the threat for significant severe thunderstorms for tomorrow. But then let's take a look at what's actually going to be firing off our storms, regardless of what's actually going to be supporting them. Again, we do know that that trough that's going to be lingering in the area with spreading the isobars, with that very large amount of lift because of the spreading of the isobars is going to be supporting the threat for severe thunderstorms. But what's actually going to be triggering them? And that's going to be that cold front that's going to be pushing eastward attached to that low pressure system. You can see the fine line in through Arkansas and Louisiana um, in the model there. That's going to be firing off our severe thunderstorms in the Mississippi River Valley tomorrow. But then let's take a look at some of the energy helicity index values. It's not really all that good to look at energy helicity index values on our GFS models because they're kind of low quality, they're kind of watered down. They look much better on the NAM 3 kilometer models, which is typically used for day 1 to day 3 outlooks in very high quality. But on our GFS models, which I typically use for the entire week because they last because they go out so far, it does water things down significantly, as you can see. Not really a lot going on as far as energy helicity index readings for our tornado threat, but be rest assured that the threat for tornadoes is going to be fairly large tomorrow. Um, but we can also take a look at our supercell composite. Again, this is going to be watered down as well, with a supercell composite values on our GFS getting up to 4.9. They are much higher on our NAM 3 kilometer models. Just be rest assured that our GFS models definitely water things down quite a bit, so it may not look as good as it does on the NAM 3 kilometer models, but trust me, the threat for severe weather is there tomorrow. Overall, energy helicity index readings on our NAM 3 kilometer models aren't really the greatest. They could be a little bit higher to indicate more of a threat to a 10% with the hatched region for the possibility of some strong tornadoes. It is leading a little bit more towards a 5% tornado threat on our energy helicity index value readings for NAM 3 kilometer, but the SPC knows what they're doing, so I'm going to go with the SPC says and go along with what they're forecasting, with the fact that there are NAM 3 kilometer models that are showing the threat for tornadoes nonetheless, but overall they are going to be a little bit lower than what the SPC is saying. But again, it is good to go with what the professionals are saying. Now let's take a look at our supercell composite as far as severe weather for the rest of the week, not just tomorrow. Again, for today, we are expected to see some severe thunderstorms for Oklahoma, and then the threat for significant severe thunderstorms in the Mississippi River Valley tomorrow. And as that cold front propagates eastward, those severe thunderstorms are going to develop into a line that's going to progress across the southeastern United States. And you can see following our supercell composite models, they are showing the threat for severe thunderstorms that is going to last anywhere from the 22nd into until the 19th, mostly staying around the deep southern parts of the United States. Taking a look at our temperatures, you can see as that cold front propagates eastward across the deep south, that's going to be chilling things down quite a bit, as well as that cold front behind it that is currently situated across the Rocky Mountains, leading to some heavy snow for today. That's going to be cooling things down even more back behind the first cold front, even if it's not really going to be leading to all that much rain behind the first cold front, is going to be chilling things down quite a bit. And then that second cold front is also going to be chilling or sorry, the third one is going to be chilling things down even more. We are expected to see very cold temperatures back behind these three cold fronts towards the end of the week. Especially at night, we could see temperatures across the Rocky Mountains, which may be getting into the negatives in some regions. However, this is in more of the mountainous regions, so the surface models are going to be showing much lower temperatures the higher up you are. But you can see around that as well, a very large portion of the United States is going to be seeing temperatures that are going to be below freezing for a very large portion. Again, for a very large portion of the United States, we are expected to see very frigid temperatures back behind the three cold fronts. So that's something you definitely want to be watching out for. Mostly at night, we should see those temperatures that are going to be getting below freezing. It's not really going to be below freezing in the day, but again, it's going to be getting very cold at night by the end of the week for a very large portion of the United States. Taking a look at our quantitative precipitation, we're going to be taking a look at where we should see the majority of our precipitation. Keep in mind that this does take into account snow. This isn't just rain. This is the quantitative precipitation for precipitation, amount of precipitation, not just rainfall that we're going to see across the United States this week. But you can see that models are mostly indicating that we are expected to see the majority of our precipitation back towards the eastern United States, as well as some in the central plains, because of that cold front that's going to be leading to quite a bit of rain in the beginning half of this week for the Central Plains, but then, sorry, Eastern United States, but then back in the Central Plains, again, with those rain showers that we are expected to see today, with that severe thunderstorm threat. And then as well as some of the snow showers with mixed in rain back towards the Rocky Mountains. We are expected to see some precipitation getting up to an inch, but towards the east we could possibly see rainfall totals that could be ranging anywhere from 3 inches down to down to 0.5, 0.75. I would say around the average is probably going to be around 1 inch as far as the average for precipitation this week across the eastern United States. So that's where you are expected to see the majority of our rainfall this week. Taking a look at our total snowfall accumulation, keep in mind that this does not take into account snowfall melting over time. So just think of it as if the snow didn't melt at all this week, and this is the amount of snowfall that we are expected to see total this week without it melting. So, taking a look at where we are expected to see the majority of our snow this week, we are expected to see the vast majority of it by far back towards the Rocky Mountains, as well as it bleeding back into the Central Plains a little bit for Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, as well as northern Texas there. But the vast majority of our snowfall should be mostly across the Rocky Mountains. In states that could see snowfall with this, it's going to be Washington, Idaho, Oregon, Nevada, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. Um, and then you can see that we are expected to see some snow in other locations as well, with some snowfall from Minnesota and Wisconsin, Iowa, and Illinois in the Midwest, and then some snowfall for Michigan. And then we are expected to see quite a bit of snow for the New England corridor this week. Taking a look at our climatology outlooks this week, you can see that the vast majority of the United States is expected to see below average temperatures, with an area in the Central Plains and Rocky Mountains that could see up to a 70% chance of temperatures being below normal. And then you can see tiny little Florida over here is the only location where we are expected to see above average temperatures with 50 with up to a 50% chance of temperatures being above normal for southern Florida there. But overall, the vast majority of the United States is going to be fairly cold to possibly frigid with those below average temperatures. Taking a look at our climatology outlooks for precipitation, you can see that we kind of have a little bit of both above and below average threats for precipitation. We are expected to see a lot of the central plains and some of the high plains and the deep south, including Florida, see at least a up to a threat for 40% chance of precipitation being above normal, and down to a 33% chance of precipitation being above normal. Overall, the chance for precipitation being above normal isn't crazy, but it is there. And then you can see in some of the other regions, like the Rocky Mountains and the Pacific Ocean, Pacific Coast, as well as some of the north here for the northern Central Plains into the New England corridor, where we could see up to a 40% chance of temperatures being, or sorry, precipitation being below normal. And then in the west, we could see down to a 40% chance of precipitation being below normal. Now that I've told you the weather, please go down to the description and check out the socials for Project Gladiator. Join the Discord for any updates on Project Gladiator. If you live in any of the areas that I covered for this week, especially in the Mississippi River Valley, you definitely want to be staying weather alert. Two other channels that I highly suggest you check out are One Nation Weather and Weather Watcher. The links to their descriptions, the links to their channels will be in the description. And I want to congratulate One Nation Weather again, just like I did in my daily forecast for today, in reaching 700 subscribers. Sorry, more than 700 subscribers in 1 to 2 days, which is absolutely insane. And it's amazing to see you growing that quickly. And again, I just want to congratulate you. And hopefully, I should be able to see you guys tomorrow with another forecast.